of late, and kind of how do you feel about things?
Honestly, it's been a lot of stuff that's happened on the floor that's, mentally helped me be where I need to be. Tapping in with my piece, doing the stuff I need to do psychologically to be prepared for the games. And then from an on-the-court standpoint, just making sure I'm finding my spots, staying in rhythm, no matter what, and just always be aggressive.
Being a veteran that's been here for a number of years,
Yeah.
what did you think about this season going into it, and how has it maybe met or realized what your expectations might be?
I think realistically speaking, we've had a phenomenal season considering our youth, but we've always been that counted out team, and so for us to make the strides that we've made throughout the course of the season, I think we shifted perspective about who any favorite could be.
Did you view your role as a leader important with having experience with Coach Sides previously, and you could be that middle person in the locker room to help explain her a little bit?
I've always known Christie from a assistant coach perspective, so this is a little different. But I think, from a heart standpoint, I think, she tries her best to make sure she's close to her players, and I think our players know that, so that's a good thing for our culture.
How does she adapted to the role? I mean, she's probably learning as she goes as well.
Yeah, I think, like you said, she's learning as she goes. I think it's more than just coaching and X's and O's. It's about, learning your organization, learning your players, and I think over time it gets easier, so I think she's doing a good job.
I remember last week after a loss, Tori said you kind of wasn't an excuse anymore with how hard the season is. When do you think that switch happened?
I think the moment we stepped in between the lines for teams like Vegas, you can't make that excuse no more. I think she's right. I think for us, it's about taking what's been utilized in our practices and carrying over the games. But I think she's right. I think youth after a while kind of goes up the window.
What do you think the disconnect is between practices and games where you can't kind of have that finish?
I think not having as many practices as we would like, being able to, we playing every other day, so the mind, body, spirit kind of comes first at that point, and you just hope that we can get the schemes and scout right. But if we practice more, I'm pretty sure, our connection will be a lot easier.
Yeah, these couple days of practices and Sunday to Friday game, does that help this week?
I think so. It's all about what you individually get out of it. I like to utilize them as learning moments, and I like to think it's the same for our team.
Signed a contract amendment of a time-off bonus. I wasn't really sure what that is.
So time-off bonus is basically a contract where you sign that you can't go overseas for more than 90 days. So however, that also entails if I was to go over for 30 days in November and do 30 days in February, that's still 60, it's like 90. So long as I don't exceed 90 days, the contract is valid. But once I do 91 days, the contract is invalid.
So it kind of barred you from playing overseas?
Basically.
Yeah, why did you want to sign that?
Because I don't know if I'm going to go overseas yet. I think I want to stay in market and do some marketing stuff in the community. And then also give my body some rest. As you know, I'm getting a little old. So really just to rest my body and then also just tap into the community. I love doing community work. I love working with kids. So I think I want to do that more in the off season.
Where do you think this team is right now, considering you're such a young group? What improvements has been made?
I think I will. I think we've been in games. I think that's been a conversation all season that we've been in games just those last 2 or 3 minutes. We're just not finishing games. And like I said, I tell people all the time, this team been together for 3 months, and we kept a team like Vegas, who are champions. When we played against them, they only beat us by 5 points. And most of our games, we're not losing more than 6 or 7 points. And we've only been together for 3 months. So I credit this team, and I just try to tell them, never get down. Because at the end of the day, with time, with years, things get better. This is our first year. First 3 months together.
What does NaLyssa bring to the team, as she was coming back from injury? Can you see how complete you all can be with her back?
She's a walking double-double. Even on her worst night, she can get 10 points and 10 rebounds. So for me, I'm happy she's back because she just brings that more scoring a threat, and then we know she's going to get rebounds. So we're happy she's back. She's missing the starting lineup. She's feeling good, and that's all that matters to us.
How do you think Coach Sides has adapted over the course of the year from being an assistant a long time to now being the head coach?
Yeah, she's still adapting because she has so much energy, man. But that's the one thing we love about her energy and how much she loves the game. And I think she's doing fairly well. Nobody expects us to be in this position we had, what, 8 or 9 games? How many games we won? 8. Nobody expected us to win 8 games with this group, and then her being the first head coach. So for her, like I tell her, I said, we're proud of you, and like we're just moving into the right direction.
What do you think has allowed you to respond to that tough night against LA with 2 really big games here in your last 2?
Like Jesse said in the huddle, tomorrow is DC, 1 game at a time, and that's all we can focus on. We can't worry about anything else. Just worry about who's in front of us, and that's what we've been doing these past days.
Well, how do you feel? 100% health? I know you had the 3 games back from injury. How do you feel right now?
I feel great. I feel like every day I'm just progressively getting better throughout this whole time. So I feel like I'm almost back to 100%.
Coming off the bench, was that an adjustment for you? And do you look forward to being back in the starting lineup eventually?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big adjustment. I feel like I ain't came off the bench since my freshman year in college. But being on the bench kind of allowed me to like see the game more instead of, starting the game off, and then figure things out. I feel like being on the bench, you get to see a lot of stuff. And
you and Aaliyah, I mean, cornerstones for the team. So how have you evolved over the course of the season just in terms of your relationship and playing together?
I feel like it's been great. Me and AB, we have a great relationship, and I feel like it's just going to carry bigger and bigger throughout these years.
Is there any adjustment for you with playing with her, knowing what she does well and how you can complement her?
Really just, I feel like our thing is just kind of staying out of each other's way. I feel like that's the easiest way for us, like to play with each other, like give her the paint and I get the outside, vice versa, high lows, stuff like that.
Were there times early on maybe you would get clogged a little and now the spacing's better?
Oh yeah, I feel like that's every team though. You got to adjust and learn how to play with each other. But I feel like throughout these games it's a group.
From watching on the bench to playing the last 3 games, have you noticed that life is maybe a little bit easier for Aaliyah when you're out there in terms of they maybe can't swarm her as much as they could have because you're on the floor?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm like a respected scorer, so it allows people to like have to guard me and not double her so much. And I feel like when I wasn't on the floor, it just gave teams the opportunity, just to swarm her a lot more. So I feel like we help each other out.
You're close to averaging a double-double. Is that something that ever enters into your train of thought and what that potentially could mean if you could get there?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like that was my goal coming into this season, was to average a double-double. So I'm going to try my hardest to get it.
Schedule that's had so many road games. How helpful was this couple of days? Not only to get a couple days of rest, but a couple practice days.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking to Lynn about. Like, I don't remember the last time we've had 2 practices where we could like get out here and be out here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and like really get some stuff in. Huge for a young team. Huge for a young team to get those practice minutes, and then also to be at home and then get the rest with it.
You anticipate just an extra bounce, and you saw it in practice, but to have 4 days between games when you take the court tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I 100% expect a different bounce. They've just got better at practice as the time went on. Like, they wanted to be done a few minutes before we did the last drill, but I was like, no, like we're gonna finish, and then they competed at the end. So that's who these young guys are. Like, they just play hard, and they never give in to when they're tired or whatever. They're just wanting to get better.
How important have your veterans in the backcourt been to just making sure this whole season goes smoothly, knowing there were going to be some ups and downs?
Yeah, they've been awesome. Sometimes they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy when we have practices the day before a game that go this long. That's just not normal. But we just have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of things we have to cover. I'm not going to skip steps, but they've had 2 days off, and then we were smart in how we finished. And yesterday was a little bit harder than it was today, but today was still intense. And that's all I ask of them is to be competitive, and we did that today. We did some push-ups at practice today. I don't know if y'all were here for that, but losers had to do push-ups today, which was really fun.
How normal is that?
We haven't done that yet, so I actually liked it. Yeah, loved it. We might put it in for the rest of my career.
After watching a month or so of NaLyssa on the bench being injured, and now we've seen her back on the floor, are you noticing that life is a little bit easier for Aaliyah, that she takes some of that pressure away from her?
Yeah, I mean, I keep saying, like, you have to guard us differently with NaLyssa on the floor. I mean, Tori and Emma did a great job. They were able to stretch, but there's still a difference with what Liz can do and the tools that she has with those two are in the game together. She wants it all to be back now. Like, that's who she is, but like when you've been out for as long as she was, it's gonna take some time. So she's been real frustrated with herself. So we've had to really keep talking about that. Like, you gotta keep doing the little things, keep working your way back in. It's gonna come, but it's not gonna happen overnight.
How do you think that she and Aaliyah fit on the court? Because at the beginning of the season, NaLyssa even acknowledged maybe there was some clunkiness, maybe they got in each other's way,
Yeah.
but big picture, they can coexist.
It's a beautiful big picture, right? Yes, they can. It takes some time. You know, the Fever have not played since Tiara McCowan. When she was here, they played with a big, but she was still young and learning as well. So with these two guys, like it's spacing, it's playing buddy play with each other, understanding, like, and Aaliyah is a 4 as well. Like, they can really interchange 4 or 5, and it doesn't matter. I mean, Aaliyah's shown that she can shoot that outside shot. Liz has shown that she is a monster in the post when she gets it, you know, with her matchup. So it's just going to be really fun, like how we finish the season, and also game planning for the future, having those two, and now they play together and they understand, you know, what we're trying to do in the movements on the court.
Okay. Erica signed an off-season time-off bonus day, which basically stipulates she can't go overseas. Were you a part of those negotiations, or how did that work out?
Yeah, that was all things that were talked about at the beginning when we were negotiating her coming here. She's at the age now where I think she needs some rest. For her to, you know, extend her career for the next few years, which we want her to be here with us, she's gonna, you know, she needs to rest in the off season, and that's hard for her because she's a competitor and she loves to go over there and play and make money. And but I think she's now understanding that's what she needs to do to further her career.
Thank you.